Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Umesh Shah Presents Sunday Life and Learn Talks. Today's speaker is Asma Aziz, who will be talking to us about mindfulness. Asma, an educator and energy healer, is committed to sharing her knowledge in transformational modalities like ontology, epigenetics, metaphysics, law of attraction, and hypnotherapy. She is trained NLP and Reiki expert. Whilst working with people over the last 21 years, Asma co-founded Breaking Boundaries to help people achieve something that is not always taught in any school or college, and that is how to live a powerful, peaceful, and fulfilled life. Today, Asma is going to talk to us about mindfulness, and she'll be covering what is mindfulness, mindfulness and the impact on our life, why mindfulness, and how to bring mindfulness in our lives. Asma, over to you.
Thank you very much, Umesh, and thank you for those kind words. Very good afternoon, everybody. And I hope I'm audible to everybody. I'm going to quickly share my screen and let me know when you're able to view.
Yes, I can see the slides.
Perfect. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about mindfulness. A lot of people call mindfulness with a lot of other words. In spirituality, we call it consciousness, awareness, or being focused. So how we can bring mindfulness, what is mindfulness, what is mindlessness as opposed to mindfulness, and how you can use it to transform your life. And that's some of the things that we're going to talk about. Before we move forward, I'll give you a quick introduction to myself. There are a lot of things that Umesh has said. There are some few things that I've put together, but these are things that I've done in the past. But let me tell you about who I am right now. And this is things I have done, things I have accomplished. But that was a different version of me, kind of at every stage of my life. When I was 16, about close to 30 years back, I heard a story, and I don't know if any of you've heard the story. You might have. It's a story of the starfish, and I want to share that with you in my introduction. That I heard that story. The story went like there was this man who went on a beach, and as he was walking the beach, he saw a boy playing on the seashore and starting to throw something in the ocean. So the man thought he must be playing. And as he got closer to the boy, he realized that there was this whole consciousness about the boy. There's a whole sense of purpose in his actions rather than just the playfulness. So he went closer to see what the boy was up to. Was he throwing in the ocean so religiously? And then he saw that the boy was throwing these starfish back in the ocean. And this man asked the boy, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Throwing the starfish back. It's early morning, and the moment the sun comes up, these starfish are going to die on the beach. So I'm pushing them back into the ocean as quickly as possible before the sun comes up." So the man laughs at him and says, "No, the beach is like kilometers long, and there are like thousands and millions of starfish on the beach. How do you think you're going to make a difference to all of them?" And the little boy, very candidly, very innocently said, "To this starfish, I made a difference." And he threw that. And then he picked up another one and he said, "To this one, I made a difference." And that time when I was just passing out of school, and everybody, all of my friends were deciding what they wanted to do in life, what to make as their career. I was very clear, this is the career I wanted to be in. I wanted to make a difference. And unfortunately, at that time, there were not many schools or colleges offering that education in how to make a difference. And hence, I went into fashion. I did IT. I did a lot of other courses. I did a normal, regular corporate work. And I've been working with different corporates over the last over 20, now close to 22 years now. And parallelly, I have been still, the calling has been there, so I've been doing a lot of other things. And energy and vibrations and emotions are things that I really work actively with, and they call to me. And working with people has always been one of the things that I'm close to. And I've always, I think, for the whole of 18 plus years, been managing teams of people and working with people and helping people, coaching, mentoring parallelly along with my work. So that's what I do. That's who I am. So let's move into mindfulness. And I know it's a Sunday afternoon and it's Raksha Bandhan. So a very happy Raksha Bandhan to all of you. And all of you have taken out time today to be here. So a very big thank you for, because you are here today listening to me, I get to live the kind of life that I want to live. So a big thank you to all of you for being committed to your life, and for me, for allowing me to live my own expression. Okay. So is my screen visible to all? I'm just looking at the chat box. Is there something that's coming in the way?
Asma, yes. So at the moment, there's two things that I've read in the chat. One, that it's out of focus, and the second thing is there are. Yes, that's better. Now I can see everything. So let's try and put the slide deck back, and let's see if that
Okay.
works.
Is that better?
So now I can still see the the black ribbon on the side and on the top as well. So it covers part of your name on the top.
Is that better?
Uh,
That
no, I
black
mean
ribbon is
the body of the slide deck is visible. I think the focus is well. I think it's focused for me. Okay, now I've got a series of grayness on the slide
okay.
deck.
All right.
Yeah, that's okay.
Um, is this better? Okay. I think that's the sharing panel that's coming for me. The black
Right.
long strip is the sharing panel. And let me see if I can remove the sharing panel from there. Um, Give me a quick second here.
That's fine. No problems at all. Take your time.
Okay, I'm not able to hide this sharing panel because I share the screen so the panel comes.
Right.
So I'll keep it to the minimum and I'll ensure that it doesn't cover the screen in any way. Is
Yeah.
that all
I
right?
mean, the body of the slide deck is fine. I can
Is
read what's
visible.
on the slide. Yeah. The only thing is, I think
Perfect.
there's still somebody saying that it's still out of focus, but for me, it's fine. It's for in focus. Uh, yeah. I think it's okay. I can see it clearly. It is okay. Yes. So I've had confirmation from someone else that it is in focus. Let's carry on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So, so this is who I am. So let's move forward. Let's talk about what is mindfulness. Okay, a lot of people talk about it. It's being talked about in corporates. It's a big thing. They talk about mindfulness quite a bit. Um, so mindfulness. Let's look at a state of being mindful versus or as opposite to being in a state of mind less. So a full mind is a mind full of things to do, different things that you are working on, different projects. You've got your home, you've got your tensions, you've got your goals in life. A mind full is a mind which is occupied by a lot of things. And a state of mind less is when you've got, whenever you're working on one thing, you're working only on that thing and everything else. It's like when you're working on a table, you've got that only the thing you're working on that table. How would work be when you've got only that item? Or when you're working on a table and everything else that needs to be done is also piled up high on the table? Which way would be more effective? So while when I was growing up, I was told multitasking is a good thing. So it took me a lot of time to build multitasking where I could cook, talk on the phone, manage the kids, all at the same time. I manage my office, do my calls, parallelly do the cooking, and that was supposed to be a good thing. But with the new studies, with new experience and exposure, we've realized that when you are multitasking, your mind is divided, or your focus is divided into different places, and what that brings down is your level of efficiency, and I'm going to cover that in a bit. So a state of mindful as opposed to mindless. So a state of mind less is called mindfulness. When you are mindfully with your whole focus, whole mind, focusing on one thing. So full of mind in only one area. So that's really what mindfulness is all about. I'm going to go a little further and talk about what really makes you effective. So if I may ask a few of you, what do you think makes you effective? If you can put something in the chat box for me. And there's no right answer for this. Could I ask few of you to just type out, what do you think makes a person effective?
Please type your answers in the chat.
All right. Rohini, do you mean functional or being functional? Okay. Focus. All right. One thing at a time. Very good, Reva. Thank you. Results. All right. Producing results, you mean makes you feel be effective. All right. Able to cope with daily tasks. Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Priyesh. Doing one thing at a time. All right. So we kind of have an idea, but I want to share with you that what really makes us effective, the basic fundamental, is the quality of attention you can give to any task. And when you've given your 100% attention, if your quality of attention is good, that task will automatically become effective. So you see, if you look at your mind, you've got 11 million bits of information that keep coming to you. However, your mind, your conscious mind, can only be aware of 40 of those. Imagine, only 40 of those. So the more distracted or distributed you are, or more things you put on your plate, the less effectiveness goes. So what really happens is you get an intention that I intend to complete a certain task. Let's say the intention defines what you're going to give your attention to. And that attention leads you to giving your awareness to that particular thing. That awareness to that thing allows you to break through multiple choices, to limit your choices to those that are in line with your intention. And that those choices give you those actions and the right, and obviously these are right ones because now you filtered them out. And those actions then give you the kind of results you're looking for. But because we are all over the place doing all the kind of things, our awareness is distributed, our attention is distracted, it's defocused, then hence we have multiple choices. We get to do some actions, we don't get to do actions, and then results are all over the place. So, no, sorry, it's going back. Yeah, okay. So, yes. So as opposed to mindfulness, what do I mean by mindlessness? Since childhood, we've been taught to multitask, like I was just sharing with everybody, that, while we're talking on the phone, we're also driving, we're also sitting and talking to somebody who's in the car, we're also managing the traffic, the red lights, the frequent people just kind of landing in front of the car. So everything we're managing, even sometimes we're eating while we're driving. The Bluetooth is going on, so we're on the phone on the Bluetooth, somebody's sitting next to us. So we're doing all these tasks together. And this happens even while we are doing our office work. We've got the kids around, we've got the tea thing going on in the house. Even in office, we are multitasking often. There are 5 tasks. So 5 windows are open and we're working on 5 tasks at the same time. So look at your life as I'm going through these examples. How and where you bring this on for yourself. So neuroscientists suggest now today, the new studies, that multitasking literally drains the energy from your brain. So if you look at multitasking, okay, and I've kind of put a picture here which talks about how it reduces the efficiency because you're switching from application A to application B to application C. So consider your mind like a computer, a supercomputer, okay, or maybe your laptop at home. The number of applications you have open on your laptop, the slower the laptop will be. So you've got Word going on, PowerPoint going on, or you've got some Excel sheets going on there. You've got internet as well. So you're switching between applications, the slow time, the computer becomes slow. How do you fasten it? You switch off some of these applications because they consume your memory. They consume your processor on the computer. So our brain is exactly like that. We've got our stresses, our tensions, our worries, our insecurities. We've got our kids at home, the food to be cooked, the maid to be managed, the office, the boss, the deadlines, everything going on at the same time. And because of this, it kills prioritization. It decreases our quality of work because we tend to make more mistakes when multiple things are going on. It shrinks the size of our brain over a period of time. It hampers our creativity because our mind is always full of so many things. It drains our energy because we are always switching between applications. It reduces our overall well being. Our level of stress rises, and it also rewires our brain. It becomes more workaholic. So even over a period of time, the effectiveness will start to go down. And I will explain how that happens. So I would request that I'm going to go at my pace. If you want me to go faster or slower, please type in the chat box. If you have a question coming up, do type it in the chat box. I will in between keep looking at those questions. So although we will have a Q&A session in the end, but keep parking your questions in the chat box so that we can pick it up all together in the end. Okay, so all in all, multitasking at today's date is a complete no-no. Okay, now coming back to what is mindlessness, lack of attention. Because of lack of attention, because there's so many things going on, there is lack of awareness, lack of focus, and lack of action happening there. And lack of action obviously then leads to lack of results. And whenever we're working on multiple things, there is always pressure to complete things because the more things on your plate, the more things pending, the more the brain starts to lose its effectiveness, the more the stress. You're always on pressure. There's always an overload happening. And these are all unconscious to ourselves. We're not even present to ourselves. At the end of the day, we just feel tired and we're like, oh my God, it was a very tiring day. Okay, and you're always distracted because your mind gets so used to moving from A to B to C to A to C to D to E to D to F, the tasks one after the other, that it keeps moving on and off. So now the mind has got into a habit of moving from task to task. So even if you want to focus, it will keep moving off. And that's why a lot of times people come back and say, especially when I do the meditation sessions, they come back and they say, it's very difficult for me to focus on the meditation. My mind tends to take me everywhere. My first question that I ask them is, are you a very logical and analytical person? And they say, yes. And do you do a lot of multitasking? Yes, absolutely. And that's where a person who does multitasking is almost always distracted. And it takes a lot of for you to kind of bring yourself into focus on one thing. Again, when you're working on multiple things, helplessness is something that comes. You experience a lot of exhaustion and stress, a feeling of being lost because you've got so much to do and too little time. Okay, I'm going to give you some answers as well as to how you can go beyond this. But let's look what is really happening, because only when you know where you're standing will you know where you need to go. So if you need to move or go to maybe, let's say, Scotland, you need to know where you are standing. That's when you will know whether you need to walk in the south direction or the north direction or the east or the west direction. So until you know where you are, you will never be able to reach where you want to reach. So this is more of understanding where I am, what is it that's going wrong, or not so wrong, because I'm a person who believes there's nothing wrong or right, but what is the thing that really impacts adversely wherever I am right now. So attention gets distracted by our own habits, and that is what we really call as self-sabotage. We don't need anybody else to come and sabotage our life. We are perfectly capable of sabotaging our own life ourselves. And our self-sabotaging habits come from our own limiting beliefs. Okay, I'm going to talk about limiting beliefs a little shortly, although it's not a topic for today, but these limiting beliefs are, we all have grown up with beliefs, all kinds of beliefs. And because of the environment we've grown up in, mostly an environment of lack, an environment of running after survival, most of our beliefs are limiting in nature. And I'm going to give you a few of those beliefs for you to connect with the beliefs. One of the beliefs is, have you heard people in your life saying to you, money does not grow on trees? Or you've got to do hard work to earn money. And this is two very common beliefs that we all carry. Now, how is that a belief? If a person grows up knowing money doesn't grow on trees, whenever he will go out to earn money, he will always struggle, because he will always find difficulty in earning money. And even though earning is easier, he will self-sabotage it to ensure that that belief gets executed. That's how powerful these beliefs are. I'll move forward. So what is mindlessness? Any questions so far? I'm going to quickly look at the chat box. Okay, so Rohini, thank you. The pace is good. Great. So what is mindlessness? Let's go a little more into it. So you're doing something, most of the time we're doing something and our mind is elsewhere. On a Friday evening, you're in office, wrapping up your work, your project, your mind is on the golf the next day. Tomorrow I'm going to have fun. So in this moment, your thought is golf. Tomorrow when you reach the golf court, you're not on the golf court anymore. You're looking about the evening dinner that you've got planned with friends or with your, whoever. And you're planning about that. And then when you're having or doing the dinner, you're thinking about that work that you left incomplete in the office and that you have to go back on Monday and, kind of wrap up. So every time what happens is, this is mindlessness. When you are doing something, but your mind is elsewhere. So your mind is not there. And 99% of our life, we are never there in the moment. Even when we are worried, very simple. Do all of you worry? Have all of you worried or have fears in your life, or maybe been angry at people, or maybe been guilty about certain things? All of these emotions are emotions that are sitting either in your past or in your future. You are angry with somebody who did something to you in the past, or you're guilty about something you did in the past, or maybe you are fearful about something that is going to happen in the future. So what is happening? Fearful, anxiety in the future, guilt and anger in the past. So where are you right now? You're physically in the present, but you're not there. The mind is not there. And if you look at your life, the whole day, you're not there with yourself. Think about it. You brush your teeth. How many times has it happened that you forget that I brushed my teeth or not as yet? And then you smell your breath and then remember, oh yeah, I did. Because when you were brushing your teeth, your mind was somewhere else. How many times you've gone for a shower and you've forgotten if you shampooed or not because you were somewhere else? And so every area of your life, if you look at when you're cleaning the house, when you're doing the normal chores, even when you're working, you're always worried about what's going to happen, what could happen. So you were never there in that moment on the task that you are occupied with. Are you connecting? Can I get a few thumbs up there? All right. Thanks. So, so moving forward from this, so this is mindlessness. So we are never where we are. All right. We are never where we are. So our mind is never where our physical body is, almost always. So why mindlessness? Because we mostly don't experience life in the moment. We are always living life from a future which is uncertain, or from a past which we are unhappy about, guilty about, or angry about. So if you look at, there is helplessness that comes from the past, things that happen should not have happened, things I don't want to happen but then did happen. There is anger that's coming from the past on things that happened and I did not or was not able to do anything about. People did things that I couldn't stop them from doing, or guilt that I wanted to do certain things but wasn't able to, or something. And if you look at the future, there are emotions that come from the future are like fear of the unknown. It's not happened, but the mind manifests something unnecessarily. It just creates, what if this happens, and then what if that happens, and then what if that happens. There are so many ifs. There is no reality in that. It is just a mind game to keep you away from the present moment. And because we're so used to not being in the present moment, that to put it into habit becomes so difficult. And that's why a lot of people come to me and say, it's very difficult for me to practice mindfulness, because you've never done it. It's like you're riding the bicycle for the very first time and there's nobody to hold your hand. How difficult would that be? We all learned riding our bicycles with somebody holding the bicycle, either somebody holding, while we were doing that. But now when we go out to practice mindfulness, there's nobody holding us. And even if there is somebody, they don't know how to practice it themselves because they are equally distracted by life. So again, coming back to, we are never there. So how we are living our life? This is how we are currently living our life. We've got this whole big boulder, not even a rock, a boulder of our past fears, our doubt, our rejections, grievances, etc. So we've got life. Let's talk about, we've got 100% of life or energy. 10% of it goes into the past, anger and guilt. 20% about anxiety about money. 10% fear of COVID. 10% into helplessness, frustrations, stress, rejections that we have in life, past failure we are carrying with ourselves. The only attention left is 10% for the job at hand, right? About that. Now, what we really need is remove all of these distractions that we have, remove all of them, and this is what mindfulness does, and give our 100% focus to the job at hand. That's being mindful. When you've removed everything and your focus is completely on the job at hand. Okay. Now, mindfulness mantras: be here now. Give me just a moment. Something's Sorry about that. Are you guys with me? I just want to take a stop check here. Before I move into giving you the mantras for mindfulness, I want to see if anybody has any questions that you want to ask with what I've just covered, or if anything is unclear, or you want me to repeat or explain a little more in detail.
Please type in the chat if there is anything that Asma can repeat for you. Seems like
All right.
we're good.
Yeah. All right. So let me go back to my presentation. There you go. Okay. I'm going to cover, so Riva, I'm going to cover something. So this will give you, so you understood what is not being mindful. You've got that right. When you're distracted, when you've got what a lot of things going on, when you're doing 5 things at the same time, so that's being mindless or not mindful. So I'm going to give you a few mantras for practicing mindfulness. The first mantra is, and this will give you how to distinguish, is be here now. Now, there's also a book called Be Here Now. Okay. And this be here now simply means be here now, as in this moment, whatever you are doing. Let's say, for example, let's take right now, this moment that we are having this conversation, and I'm talking you and working you through this presentation. Okay, and as I'm running you through this presentation, there are some of you who invariably and it's not finger pointing, but it's more of a habit that we've got our cameras or our phones on our hand. We're checking our WhatsApp. We are waiting. So we've got our phones there in our hand. We've got somebody going on with something. We're all on mute. Most of us are on video off. So there is things going on in the house, and we are partially there and partially here. We're parallelly trying to do multiple things at the same time. That is mindlessness. Be here now means if you're here on this call right now, give me your 100% focus. And that's you pulling mindfulness for yourself. Okay. Now, the second thing is, another mantra is avoid action addiction. What is action addiction? Let's go a little bit look into that. Action addiction is, as we start work, most of work, even those of us who are at home, okay, the moment we start our work day, it might be you're a housewife, or you are working in an office, or you are an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're doing, the moment we start our work day, we jump into action, and that's action addiction. So what happens is, when we jump into action or doing something, there is something called, whenever you complete a task, there is this chemical called dopamine, which gets released in our brain. And when dopamine gets released inside of you, you get this happy feeling. Like, for example, you've been dealing a task for a long time, and one day you finally complete it, and you're like, yes, I finally did it. And you get this whole good feeling about yourself. Or you wanted to do something for a long time and you haven't been able to get around to it, and then finally, or maybe it's a book that you've been reading for a month and finally you're completed. So there's this good feeling that comes, that yes, I did it. So these are dopamine kicks that we get. It's like nicotine. People have addiction to smoking because of the nicotine addict. There are dopamine kicks, and we look for dopamine addiction. Like, for example, I will tell you a simple, you are in your house, you're doing some work, and suddenly you get up maybe to get a glass of water. And then you see this whole pile of clothes sitting there, and you're like, okay, let me just keep this pile of clothes here. You go and put them somewhere. And when you go there, you see, oh my God, something is, lying around, or the kitchen is in a mess, or you start to kind of get that sorted out. So, you're doing these small tasks. The main task which you were doing is kind of sitting there. So what you're doing is you're pulling these small bits of instant gratification, because when you will complete that small kitchen task, you feel good about it. But your main task, which you were doing, which is kind of important, kind of got hanging there. So what happens there, the symptoms is there is an urge to act. There is this restlessness when you're sitting empty or you are sitting without working. Okay, and it gets challenging. The more stillness you have, the more challenge you get. And the consequence, what happens as an end result, if you look at it, there is poor prioritization, there is poor goal orientation, and poor performance. Because eventually the task that was important that you wanted to get done did not get done. Now here I want to add on, there are things that are important, and then there are things that are critical / urgent. Important things are important, they need to get done. Critical things are that if not done right now will have an adverse impact, but it's not necessary they are more important than the important thing. I'll take an example. Let me pull up an example to give you. There is a deadline and you need to submit a project, and that's an important project, and the deadline is maybe tomorrow. Okay. Now, there was a task to be done, which was paying the electricity bills, but you forgot to pay it and you suddenly remember it. And today's the last day. And if you don't get it paid today, they're going to cut your electricity by tonight. So now paying the electricity bill, which is not very important task, suddenly has become critical. And if you don't do it, it will get the electricity disconnected. So what do? We leave the important task, we go to do the critical task. So in life, because of this mindlessness, we are always carrying out these critical tasks, which may not be important, and hence the important tasks get left behind. I'm not saying always, but it happens many a times. All right, moving forward from here, please park your questions, all right, if you have any. So we are all addicted to these small doses of dopamine. Let's go a little more into action addiction. Check if you have action addiction. Try sitting for 2 minutes, exact 2 minutes. Sit quietly for 2 minutes and see how you're able to sit without your mind telling you, let's do this. Oh my God, I need to do that. Oh my God, this needs to be done, and getting up. And this is an exercise you can do after this session. Take 2 minutes and see if you're able to sit without getting up. So the downside of action addiction, and there is a downside, and that's the main one. There is less goal orientation. We have less focus. Our productivity goes down, and our performance obviously gets impacted because of it. So coming back, avoid action addiction is the second mantra. Speed up by slowing down. Now, I want to give you an example of a cheetah. Cheetah, you all know a cheetah, right? It's the fastest animal. It goes at 110 miles per hour, but you know how a cheetah hunts? I don't know if you've seen it, but let me tell you how it hunts. It doesn't just mindlessly run after its target. It waits in the bushes. It allows the target to come closer. It keeps waiting, hiding. And when the target is at the right place, at the right location, it strikes. And within a couple of seconds, it catches its target. So speed up by slowing down. So it slows down, it relaxes. Just because it can run 110 miles per hour doesn't mean it just starts running recklessly. Okay, so speed up. So the more you slow down, relax, make a plan, make a to-do list, and then plan out. There is a mantra that I give my people who work with me which is called 40-15. So break every hour in 45-15. Okay, 45 minutes, take a task, focus completely on that task. Only and only focus on that task, nothing else. And for that 45 minutes, leave your phone aside. If it's such a this thing, what I usually do, I switch off the data on the phone. So even if I tend to pick up my phone, the data is not working. So there's nothing new that has come. So for those 45 minutes completely, and this is a habit you need to inculcate, and it's going to be new. It's going to be like learning how to ride a bike. So use that. And then the next 15 minutes after the 45 minutes, reward yourself. Take a break, eat something, or go out for a walk. Anything that pleases you, that makes you feel, yes, I earned this reward. If nothing else, go watch Netflix for 15 minutes, whatever it is, but give yourself a reward. So what are you doing? You're replacing the dopamine. Instead of getting a kick from the dopamine, you are giving yourself a manual kick. The other thing is, take slow breaths and recenter. You know, emotions, we all have emotions. Emotions, if you expand, what is emotion? Emotion is what? It's energy in motion. So whenever you shift your motion, your energy shifts and your breathing shifts. Have you noticed that your breath keeps changing? When you're angry, your breath is different. When you're relaxed, you're breathing differently. When you are hyper, you're breathing differently. When you are feeling sleepy, you are breathing differently. So the moment you breathe slower, you start to recenter, realign into yourself, your own vortex. Have very clear priorities. By priorities here, I mean the important things in life. Have them clearly listed out for yourself. That my project is my priority. Productivity versus activity. A very important thing here, a lot of us feel activity, the more activity we do, the more productive we are. I'm sorry, no, that is not the case. Activity does not mean productivity. Okay? Busy is not equal to productive. Prado had an 80-20 principle. Many of you might have heard about the 80-20 rule. Giving 80% effort and getting 20% outcome. This is the life we are all living. Versus, like the cheetah, putting 20% effort and producing 80% outcome. And, and these are stats which I'm picking up from research is done. These are not my facts. 41% of the time people spend on low priority activities because we are all dopamine addicts. We have action addiction. We are busy without being productive. And how many times that has happened with any of you, that the whole day goes by and so you're like, oh my God, where did the day go? I didn't get the kind of work that I was supposed to get done by the end of the day, and yet I didn't find any time free. What have I been up to? And when you look back, there was nothing much you were doing. Nothing productive got accomplished. So moving forward, so learn to be mindful versus mindful. Now, on the spot prioritization, most of us do this. Most of us, when we start the work, instead of doing action addiction, okay, because in action addiction, we are mostly reacting, okay, breathe, recall your priorities, make a list of things that you want to do today, and then respond to the situation. If you are doing an exercise and let's say the electricity bill needs to get paid and it needs to get paid today in the same thing, then put it down on your list, because now that the thing has become a priority, because if you don't pay it, you will get the electricity disconnected. Put your 45 minutes into the task you're doing, park that electricity bill for the next 45 minutes and allocate it during the course of the day. And that can only be done when you are organized, you've got your priorities straight, you've done your prioritization. So every morning you get or started for the day, make a small, like a post-it or maybe a something list. of these are the important things that you want to get done. And maybe even better, over a period of time, you start to put the time that I will do this at 4 o'clock, this at 5 o'clock, and this at 6 o'clock. And you can put anything in there. Even the things that have become critical, you can prioritize them and make them important rather than just running like a headless chicken. So, how to bring mindfulness to life? Manage attention, not time. All of us, honestly, all the people I work with, they are all managing time. I need to manage time better. My time management skills are bad. Everybody has 24 hours a day. Elon Musk has 24 hours. Bill Gates has 24 hours. And so do you. If they can do what they are doing, and even the president has 24 hours a day. So it is never the time. It is always your attention. What are you focusing on? On the critical things or on the important things? Stop the distraction games. We have a lot of distraction games that we play. Task 1 to task 2 to task 3 to task 4. While I'm, sitting and working on my laptop, suddenly I realize my laptop's dirty. I start to pull up something to clean the laptop, and suddenly I realize the cloth is dirty. I go wash the cloth. When I go into the washroom, I see the washroom is all wet, so I start wiping the washroom. When I wipe the washroom, I take the white cloth and hang it to dry. When I go to hang it to dry, I see that there's something going on wrong there. I start to fix that. So I was initially starting to work on my laptop, and I've landed up out there in the clothesline doing I don't know what. And this is how we distract ourselves. We don't need another person to mess up life for us. We are fully capable of doing that ourselves. All right, practice ABCD. Anatomy, which is your posture. Whenever you're sitting, always be very, very, there's a posture like, if I'm taking the call, yes, actually, all the lifeness or the life is gone out. And this is where that's how we work. We tend to lose our focus on our anatomy, which is our physical. The breathing, breath connects us to life. So focus on your breath. Always bring yourself to deep breathing. We breathe mostly from our chest, which is not the appropriate way of breathing, or rather not the natural way of breathing. If you've seen children when they're born, children usually breathe from their bellies. And belly breathing, I'm just looking at the time so that we're on time. Okay, belly breathing is something that children do. We are born, and when we are born, we do belly breathing, and that's our natural way. So if you notice, sometimes when you are having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, people tell you, wait, sit down, breathe, deep breathe, take deep breaths, because it brings you to your state of naturalness, if I may call it. Counting, a lot of times bringing you to counting. Whenever you're breathing, count 1, 2, 3, 4, breath in, 5 and 6, wait, and 7, 8, 9, breathe out, and then again the same recycle. So that brings you to the moment. It brings you back into right now. And practice watching how easily you get distracted. Okay, so I'm gonna skip this one. So how we are today is, I'm gonna take another 5 minutes to wrap this up. This is you, how you were born, and as you were growing up in this society, in this conditioning which you were born into, you took on the beliefs from your parents, from people around you, your caregivers, dada, dadis, grandparents, all the different uncles and aunts. Those beliefs then made you into a person of your being. Today, when I ask you what kind of a person you are, you were like, I am, or I have a being of stubborn. I am sometimes, hardworking. I am this, I am that. While some of them are good, some of them are not so good. We're happy or unhappy about some of them. But then the being with it is, the limitation is that all of this puts you into a paradigm, and there is no way of you breaking that paradigm. So if somebody who's stubborn has no other access for being not so stubborn, or anything else for that matter, then there are behaviors that we pick up, from our society, from our environment, and then patterns and habits. So this is what we do. I work with a lot of people, and I've developed a unique model in which what I do is I help people. Like if you see, this kind of looks like an onion, isn't it, with multiple layers around it. So I help people to break through and remove these layers and access the real you inside of you, who we almost never met. We knew ourselves when we were children, but the moment our critical filter was formed, the moment we crossed the age of 5 or 6, we stopped being that person. That child, that kid who used to be very happy, fulfilled, relaxed, doing whatever we wanted to do. If we wanted to make our parents buy us something, we would go all out. We didn't need a leadership seminar or a productivity workshop to actually have our parents buy us something. We knew how to get things done around the house. Yes. So that's all from me, and I will come back to questions. I know I've overshot. My apologies on that. I've tried to bring in a lot of stuff into a very small workshop on Umesh's request, so it was a little tight and tough for me, Umesh.
Thank you
But
so much,
I,
Asma. It was excellent. I think mindfulness, it's a huge topic. Books have been written just on the topic itself. So to cover everything in 45 minutes, I knew that it was always going to be a challenge anyway. So you're okay with time. So if anyone's got any questions, please type them in the chat, and Asma can answer those questions. Um, whilst we are waiting, I just really want to remind people that Asma and I have been working on a number of topics that we are planning to bring to you. It will be 2 to 3 hour workshops, and there
can
are
I,
some really interesting
sorry,
topics. So,
sorry,
in
Umesh.
due course, I will be talking to you about that. Asma, do you want to say a little bit more about these workshops
Yes,
that we are planning?
I said I have a slide that I put together. I'm going to just pull that up. And so the organization that I have is Breaking Boundaries. We bring up all these workshops, different kinds of workshops. So there is a workshop on, releasing stress and suffering. Different workshops are designed to be different in yours. So like this is a 3.5 hour workshop. Then there's a mindfulness workshop where we go a lot into detail into what I've just covered here. Then there is a law of attraction workshop where I teach not the regular stuff that you get in secret or this regular stuff that's available. How do you do? There is law of attraction works even beyond just writing journals or just thinking and doing gratitude. It's a big this thing, law of attraction, and there are certain nuances of law of attraction once you get to learn that. Because I'm a very I call myself a manifestation queen, and for the last 15 years I've been living a manifested life. So I've learned all the things that do not work in law of attraction, and nobody tells you what is it that comes in the way of attracting when you want to. So those are things. Then there is a heal yourself workshop, and then another workshop on beliefs, how and why we ourselves sabotage our life, our own finances, our health, and our relationships. Then there are fortnightly series of workshops that I do on conscious living. We call it the journey inwards. And then there is a breaking all boundaries workshop, which is an exhaustive 2 day workshop. It's a transformative workshop, and it helps you to reset the life that we are currently living. So all the beliefs that we are currently carrying, the kind of that this is how life should be, this is good, this is bad, all our definition about life. So this workshop kind of is like a reset button and start from scratch kind of thing. And I put all of these together with my 16 to 17 years of working in quantum physics, working in areas of epigenetics, in metaphysics, ontology, and with Reiki, everything that I do. Yes, Riva, they are all online events, and um, uh, they're all done on Zoom, like we're doing this. Some of them are interactive, some are mostly interactive because they're workshops. So in my workshops, I usually have an open channel. I don't do very huge workshops. I try to keep them small so that there's more attention that can be given to the particular needs of the clients. So in fact, the 2-day workshop that I do, the Breaking Boundaries one, is happening on the 28th and 29th of this month. Next weekend is scheduled for the whole day. But these workshops are right now done in India time because they are already pre-scheduled. But so that's any other questions I may answer, I'd be happy to.
But when we put these workshops together, Asma, we are going to be looking at putting them according to the British time as well. So,
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely, Umesh. If you put something together for this audience, usually the workshops that I do are in the evening India times, which works out to be afternoon UK time, which is fair enough. I think that is something. And most of the workshops I try and do on the weekends so that we can have more participation. People are usually working on the weekends. So Rohini, um,
so we are going to
different
talk about the
workshops have
cost.
different costs.
Yeah.
Yes, different
Uh,
workshops have different costs, but they're very reasonable costs here. And as and when the workshops keep coming up, I will be sending out the flyers to Umesh and he can share them with you. Or alternatively, what I've also recommended to Umesh is if you have anything you want, you can go to him and we can, set up a workshop for you. It's not a problem. I just need a minimum participation of about 7 to 10 people, and we can set up a workshop. So if we have a people 10 participation, we can set up a workshop on any topic for the audience in the UK as well.
Riva, you can contact me, and I'll send all the information to you about the workshops. My telephone number, I've just put it on the chat. So do contact me, and then I'll let you have details of all these workshops that Asma and I are planning. I think that we only started talking about them early part of last week, so still kind of putting everything together. Any questions on mindfulness that anyone has?
Umesh, I think you've sent a message to me in
Have I?
camera.
Okay, let me. Uh, this is the problem with chat, isn't it? I'll
Yeah.
right.
So
I'll
if
put
we
down.
have another 5, 7 minutes, I'd be happy to hear if some of you want to share rather than type. Umesh, is that all right with you? If we allow to unmute?
Yes, yes. So we can now, if people want to talk something about mindfulness, and if they want to share some experiences, please unmute yourself and one person at a time, and they can share their story.
Anybody wants to share anything they got out of the workshop? Any other questions they have? You can unmute yourself.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, Reva.
Okay. For mindfulness, we say that we should take up only one task at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, if you are working in a kitchen, if you are rolling chapati and, on another side, you have just kept your curry to cook. So is that called multitasking, or it just cooking is just one whole thing?
Well, it depends. If you're cooking, you're cooking. So curry and roti together. I think as women, multitasking is part of our second nature, right? We've been trained for a number of years to multitask. So I would say if you're cooking rice and curry at the same time, or chapati and curry, it's go ahead, do it. But when you're doing rice and chapati and curry and talking on the phone at the same time, now that's multitasking.
Okay, so phone should be out of, so cooking is fine. 3, 4 items
Yeah.
together is fine, but phone is not fine. So phone is it's
Yes.
not fitting in the task of cooking. That's what you
Absolutely.
meant. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you for clarification. Thank you.
So when you are in the kitchen, you are 100% in the kitchen. You are completely there with all the food that is on the, in the kitchen. May it be the chapatis or the curry or the rice or everything is, and you've got all your focus on that.
Okay.
Asma, there is an old age saying that women are better at multitasking than men. What's your view on that?
Hmm.
That is true.
That is
No,
true?
actually,
Really?
okay, I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Fortunately or unfortunately, as women, we've been grown up in India, or at least the Indian society, even if it's out of India or inside India. We've grown up to take care or nurture. We have been trained to nurture, to take care, to be always be available for the family. So even though women have started to go out and work and do a lot of jobs and everything, they are still expected to do all of the above and do the job as well. So if it's the child, whether it's the home, so women have automatically learned how to balance it out. The the men or the boys have been just asked to just grow up, earn a living, and ensure that things are taken care of. So the pressure on the woman has been there because of the old society, the ways of the old society, and they kind of keep getting passed on from generation to generation. And so whether they like it or not, the women have been trained to be better multitaskers. So I'm not saying that it's something to be proud of or not proud of. So it's a good thing that they are multitaskers, but the sad part is that they've been made to be like that.
Okay.
The
Thank you.
conditioning has been such.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, that's my personal view
Oh,
on
you
this
probably are
matter.
right. I'm sure you're right. Rohini has got a question. Go on, Rohini.
Mhm.
Um, I guess, Asma, I agree with you, and I was going to say something very similar to what you said. That, well, talking from a completely individual point of view, we have been preconditioned to put ourselves as the lowest priority and to prioritize the needs of others above our own. I guess this opens a completely different can of worms. And I'm sure that other people, will have different opinions. But this is my opinion and this is my experience. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohini. And I want to add there something. And it's a very critical and it's a very important thing that you highlighted, that while we are focused on others, there is something that we miss doing, and that is having love for ourselves. We give and we are so focused on giving that we don't have enough left for ourselves, or rather we don't love ourselves, but we try to love others. And why we are always tired and exhausted, which we do, is because what you don't have for yourself, how can you give it to others? So if I come to visit you, Umesh, and you don't have apples in your house, there is no way you'll be able to give me apples.
Mm,
If you have apples, only then can you serve me apples. So we
mm.
don't have love for ourselves, and then we go out to give others love. So that kind of love that we're giving is not love, it's transaction. I'm giving you attention, I need attention back. I'm giving you love, I need love back. And that me time, Riva, that you're mentioning here, there, me time is that self love. We don't have it for ourselves. We don't love ourselves. If I'm going to give you an example. How many of you stand in front of the mirror and look at the mirror and do not see the dark circles or those wrinkles or something, and you just look at this beautiful person staring back at you? You admire your hair, you admire your eyes. Do you do that? If not, then there is no self-love. What we do is, many of the women I speak to and I work with, they don't even spend any time in front of the mirror. They said we don't even get the time to look at our faces. There are days in which I haven't seen my face. Even if I see my face and somebody appreciates outside, I think he's just, we do makeup so that people may appreciate. But when somebody does appreciate, we are not able to take that appreciation. We think he must be just joking. Are you able to connect with me? Give me a thumbs up, some of you, if you're getting what I'm saying. I'm only talking about ourselves right now. Other women, leave them aside. We don't give to other women because we don't have. We really don't have. If I don't have apples, I can't give apples. If I don't have love, I can't give love to people. So what I'm giving is I'm trying to pretend something, and that's why it's painful. That's why we get exhausted. How many of you are exhausted by the end of the day? How much are we doing? We're not like those rickshawalas in India you've seen. They work hard the entire day. We don't work as hard as them, but still we are exhausted because we're always in the head. Our head is pulling us in different directions. The language we speak to ourselves, our language is very negative in here. Our language is very, I have to do this, I need to do this, I should be doing this. Now if you recall, and if you go back to your childhood, this language used to be taken by our parents. Asma, you need to finish your food, only then you get the sweet dish or to get the dessert. Need to. So for me it was a must. It was not something I wanted to do. You will need to finish your homework, only then you can go out and play. You have to clean up your room, you have to finish the food on the plate. So these are very compulsive words: have to, want, need to, and should have. And when you use, and we use these words in normal life, like I have to cook food for the children. Now you've made it such a have to, although you wanted to do it out of love of your heart. Because of your language, it's become a task, and it will drain you out. Even if you don't want to be drained out, the word that you speak, and this is another topic altogether. It's not mindfulness at all, so we're digressing here. But the words you speak has a lot of impact upon who you are as a person, the kind of life you're living, the kind of experience you're having. And these are conversations we kind of do in the 2-day workshop. We go into a detail of how did I get to be the way I am? Why did I get to be this way? Why is it that the things I see, the way I see, somebody else sees them differently? And then how to move on from here? How to release all my doubts, my worries, my stress, how to move from there to living a life of, how about when you're going on a vacation, how excited you are. What if every morning you wake up was a vacation itself? Every morning you wake up, you're excited about the day. So that's the kind of work I do, that, kind of bringing people to that life, that you are waking up with that excitement every day, day in, day out. It doesn't mean you won't have pain. It just means that your muscle to bear that pain would be more, robust, or you'd have more, because our pain is not generated by others. Our pain is generated by ourselves. When my mother tells me, you are mean, or you did something not right, she just means you did something not right. But what I make it mean is, my mom doesn't love me. Nobody loves me. I'm not appreciated. And that creates the pain. So, these conversations that we do with ourselves is what. Okay, that's a long one. I mean, I'm just going to take a moment to read.
PJ's got hand up.
There's a question or something that PJ wants to say. PJ, go on, unmute yourself, and you can talk.
No, I was just agreeing with something. I didn't have a
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
saw that. Whenever. So, Reva, to your thing is, I would look at it. I would look at it in a way that it's easy to blame on others. I think that's what we always do, that somebody else is at fault because of which I'm suffering. That means I'm suffering and the button is in somebody else's hands. So he goes and he rings the button or clicks the button, and I am pained. Are you connecting? So if it's society you've put it on, then the society is ringing that, the doorbell. Somebody rings the doorbell on the outside and you go all like this. So, and this is what we do in the 2-day workshop. We remove the connection from that bell to your reaction. So the society can keep saying what they keep saying, and everybody can keep saying what they're saying, and you are at peace with where you are. But that's not how we've grown up. We are very nicely hardwired. Somebody comes and he presses a button of a piano and we start singing, or we start singing a tune. Somebody says you are like this, and then we are strumming the next few days. How dare he do that? But how can he say that? Does he even know who I am? How can he say that? I do so much for everybody. And we go out to prove people then, and we want to please people. Most of our actions that we do are pleasing others. I know all of these topics that we're discussing are off the mindfulness topic, but these are really, I think I attract such topics, Umesh, because these are the
Absolutely.
things that I work on. So these topics
Uh,
eventually come every workshop that I do.
So, Asma, whilst you are talking and whilst we've had comments from others, I'm making notes as well as to the sort of things that we could probably bring in terms of workshops or in terms of even a Sunday event, even if we do an intro 45-minute or whatever. But I think the idea is that if we do a workshop, you can cover a lot more ground. And that's what so I'm making notes as well. And I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think we need to at least try and see what we can bring to everyone. And there goes my doorbell, and I'm going to start singing to that tune as well. Um, right, I think we are now. It's quarter past, and
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I think at this point that we need to finish this session at this point, and I'm going to say a big thank you to Asma for doing this talk on mindfulness and covering a little bit of other things as well towards the end. So, Asma, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate, and
Absolutely.
we'll talk again very
Absolutely
soon.
my pleasure. It's in your listening and your time today that I get to live the life I wanted to live, the life of throwing the starfish in the ocean. So thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much for listening to me, giving me your hearing. It is all yours. Your listening is yours, and you gave it to me without prejudice today. So really appreciate. Thank you for having me here, and I look forward to more such sessions that Umesh can put together. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
all. So, next week, there isn't a session. Next Sunday, we don't have anything. The week after that, on the 5th of September, we've got uh, a ghazal evening. We've got live musicians, and we've got a really good singer. We'll be doing Remembering Jagjit and Chitra Singh. And then after that, we've got a speaker on the 12th. We've got a speaker talking about sleep and sleep patterns. So there are some very interesting events coming through. Just keep an eye on umeshshahpresents.com and also on my YouTube channel. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, do call me on 0794 182 0801. With that, thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon and shall see you all in 2 weeks' time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.